start with the Mets and the debacle that this game was and the absolute brutal loss and what happened to the pitching lab. I mean, I went on first of all, for months and years, like the last year and a half, we have talked nothing. At least I've had a tough time talking anything else. I know Lindor and the closed meeting and moving him to leadoff, and his MVP season last year was a lot of the story, and Grimace and OMG and the way the offense played in many ways too. And this year they get Juan Soto and everything. But if you talk Mets, if I have ever, when I talk Mets over the last year and a half, I've said this a lot. It's hard for me not to talk about how great the pitching is. What an incredible job by David Stearns, by this pitching lab, what they've been able to turn this staff into. And I was critical at the start of the year, not going out there and adding some top-level starting pitching. And yet they shut me up for the first half of the season with just excellent starting pitching. They turned Griffin Canning into an ace-level pitcher. They just, at every turn, they had an incredible, just mind-numbing, how do they continue to do this starting pitching out of scrap metal? And now it has fallen apart in an epic collapse. An epic collapse. And over the last couple of weeks, oddly enough, I've been defending the pitching as well. Like over the last couple of weeks, yes, the pitching, the innings, they've been a problem, sure, but I can't shut my mouth about how bad the offense is and how it's not enough. And the Fab Four at the top of the order, and they're not coming through. And Lindor has been terrible since hurting his toe, and it's just not good enough. And Soto's having big moments. Soto's hitting home runs. Soto's OPS is good. Soto's batting average is okay. Not really, but, Soto's numbers are good. He's having a somewhat down Juan Soto year, but hey, it took some time to get acclimated. Soto's okay, but he's just not impacting the team. But it's this offense. Forget the starting pitching. It's the offense. And over the last couple of days, really the last week, it has rock bottomed out. Where 3 consecutive nights, I know they won yesterday, but they got a 5-0 lead in a game they desperately needed against Milwaukee, only to see that collapse. Last night, or 2 nights ago now, they're up 5-1, and Clay Holmes can't get out of the 4th. And then last night, David Peterson, the one last shining example of a starter who can actually maybe possibly in some sort of, crazy world go 5 or 6 innings. He's the one guy you can kind of rely on to do that, is given a 6-0 lead. They got Cookie Carrasco out there, who the Mets broadcast had me laughing all night, quite honestly. Some good, some bad. But they're feeling sorry for Cookie Carrasco. This is hard to watch. He's getting pounded. The Braves are terrible. They've got injuries. The pitching staff is falling apart. They can't take out Cookie Carrasco because they don't want to go through the bullpen. He's throwing batting practice the first 2 innings. They're up 6-0 with David Peterson on the mound, and he can't throw a strike. They lead the world in walks, this pitching staff. And as you're watching the game last night, as Peterson's blowing it in the 4th, they're talking about winning the first 3 pitches of an at-bat. I'm like, are you guys watching what's going on while you're having this conversation? They're having a conversation about first pitch strikes and trying to win the first 3 pitches of an at-bat, and that should change things for them. And Peterson is throwing non-competitive pitches all over the place. 3 1/3, 5 hits, 6 runs, and 5 walks from David Peterson in this game last night. You got the long rain delay. You got the Pete, ceremony, which, look, I did the morning show yesterday with Keith, and we talked about it. I'm not going to poo-poo the thing the way Mad Dog did. If you haven't seen the clips of Christopher Mad Dog Russo, the great Christopher Mad Dog Russo, killing the idea that we celebrated the Pete Alonso thing, I think it's worth celebrating. The next day in a ceremony? I don't know. But whatever. You're waiting for that. The rain delay wipes that out. That's going to be later today now. You start the game. They jump out to a 6-0 lead off a non-competitive Cookie Carrasco, and your starting pitcher can't get out of the 4th inning. This pitching staff, and this is why we talk about it. This is why I was critical at the start of the year. This is why you do need legitimately good starting pitchers with talent that you're gonna have to pay eventually, because you can't continue this way. What they've done for the last year and a half has been miraculous. It can't be duplicated over and over again. You can't just count on converting Clay Holmes into a starter from being a reliever. You can't count on Griffin Canning forever. You can't count on Manaea resurrecting his career. You can't count on everything you're trying to throw up against the wall. Frankie Montas they run and give $17 million to. He's already in the bullpen. And that's what it's going to turn into, right? That the save, like, I'm listening to people today talk and like, oh, well, listen, they've got McLean coming in for Montas, and I'm sure we're going to have to throw Sproat out there at some point now, maybe for Clay Holmes, because he looks at the end of his rope. Never mind the fact that he's thrown 70 innings over the last 4 years per year because he's been a reliever. Now he's up over 140. Like, yeah, maybe he's hit the end of his rope. But no, I mean, now you're calling on these kids not to just make up a start here. You're not looking at McLean to come up here after having a really nice AAA season to come up and just find himself. You're asking him to save the season. The Reds beat the Phillies last night. The Yankees and the Mets are in the same position. One game up out of being out of the postseason. McLean can't come in and find himself. He can't come in and just be, a prospect making a name for himself and trying to find his way in Major League Baseball. He's got to come up and save you. If Sproat gets called up, he's got to come in and pitch well. He's got to come in and immediately. Now, is it hard to not be an upgrade over what they've got? Sure. You're not asking the world of him. Give me 5 innings and 3 runs and we'll sign for it. I get it. But the pressure is on these kids now. This isn't a soft landing spot. For weeks, they've been, right before the All-Star break, they could have brought him up. I don't want to, unless you want to bring him up when there's a lane for him. Well, this lane is because the rest of them have fallen off. Yeah, the lane's open because the other cars have driven off a cliff. Not the easiest of lanes to introduce yourself to the Met fan base, who was there last night, who showed up to see that Pete ceremony, who showed up last night, who stayed through the 2-hour rain delay, only to watch that crap. Unbelievable what's happening to this pitching staff. It can't happen. And I don't know what happened to it. Why can't they figure out how to throw strikes? Did you see some of the pitches? He wasn't missing by a little. He was way left. He was way in the left-handed batter's box. I mean, he was all over the place, Peterson. And this is the guy you're supposed to rely on. And 3 consecutive nights. It's hard to get on the offense. They give you a 6-0 lead. They give you a 5-1 lead. And then they, come back and even score more runs to win last night. They're up, you're up 5-0 in that series finale against Milwaukee. Like, yeah, you'd like to add on, and that has been a calling card of this offense. Some early runs, and then doing nothing the rest of the game. I get it. It's not good enough. We've all been complaining about the offense. But at some point, when you go out and make the trades they did to bolster the bullpen, and they blow games as well as Helsley had his fun in Milwaukee, too. But when you jump out to a 6-0 lead on a dead team with Cookie Carrasco on the mound, that's got to be enough. I don't know what the answer is. I guess the answer is call everybody up. Call up these prospects you've been building up and working up. Great. You're thrusting them right into the fire. You didn't want to call them up before the All-Star break because you needed the lane. Well, now the lane is burning, and you need someone to put it out. And that is not easy for a young kid. And you look at Sproat's numbers. Yeah, he's been hot in July, no doubt. And he's the top prospect. He's got a worse. Last time I checked, he's got a worse ERA than Clay Holmes in AAA. And that's fine. It's part of the building process. And I expect him to be okay. But we're not asking him to come up here and be okay. You're asking him to come up here and save a season that's going down the tubes. That is a brutal loss to a team that, to a team that has been your nemesis, to a team that always finds a way to beat you. And now they're down as they've ever been. As they've ever been since they started winning divisions, since they became the Braves in the early 90s. This is as bad as they've almost ever had. I know there were some lean years there in the middle, but this really feels like the bottom out year because the team should have been better. They start out 0-7. They're dragging down the stretch. They've lost some key players. They're throwing out Cookie Carrasco. They're throwing out Cookie Carrasco. You got them up 6-0. You're coming off of Pete's, record-breaking performance the night before. You jump out to that early lead, and Peterson can't go for. It's hard to fathom where this pitching staff has fallen to. And now you got Kodai Senga tonight, and what's the faith that he goes 5? Thankfully, Blackburn, back off the IL, was able to give you some innings and save the bullpen. Season's not over. Stranger things can happen. They're still up in the playoffs. They're a game up inside the postseason. But, the thing that scares me about the New York Mets right now is this rotation is falling apart. Now, if the kids come up and pitch well, great. And I still have faith in the top of the order. I still have faith in Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Lindor. And now it feels like Nimmo's getting a little bit hot. Theoretically, should be a good offense. But tonight is a big night to see how this Met team responds. We talk so much about manager and managerial decisions, and we'll get to them with the Yankees in this game last night. You want to know how the manager's doing? How does this ball club respond tonight? Kodai Senga on the mound against Elder, who's having a miserable season for Atlanta, along with everybody else on the team, except when they see the Mets. And listening to the broadcast talk about trying to win the first 3 pitches as he's just imploding was just, that's a brutal performance from David Peterson. It was a brutal performance from Clay Holmes the day before. And right now you just feel like you are sinking with a starting rotation who can't get through the 4th, let alone into the 6th and 7th. That's a brutal loss, Met fans. That's just a brutal, brutal loss. You can't lose that game. You cannot lose that game.